no matter where you're at, there's always this new skill you need to learn. Too many people are just complacent. Like they think, oh, well, freaking I make 70 grand a year. Like I'm doing good. They think that it's just going to always be like that. When in reality, it's not. If you don't keep learning new skills, you're getting phased out or replaced.
The businesses always want to remove single points of redundancy, but employees need to strive to be as irreplaceable as possible.
When you do just trade pure time for money and there's nothing beyond that, it's fine. I mean, that's like what people do for the most part, but like there's also the ability to trade time for money today and tomorrow. We got a lot of things on this Wealthy Wednesday. Last week we were out of town because we were at WealthCon. We had over 1,000 attendees, our biggest event yet. We talked about a lot of different things, and one of the tones I wanted to set for the audience was, our make, manage, multiply philosophy. And for those who don't know, the 1-minute version is this. When you're first starting out in entrepreneurship, if you want to become a multimillionaire very fast, this is the path. Step 1, make. You got to figure out a skill that makes you 250 grand a year, okay? So I'm a big fan of real estate. I think you can do that through wholesaling. I think you could do it through Airbnb. I think you could do it through house flipping, but you got to figure out a skill that makes you 250. From there, you then go into the managed stage. Now that you have this skill, you're going to build business around that skill. So, okay, I flip houses. Let me go start hiring people to help me get more deals, to do these flips, to raise capital, to list them. And you scale that business to a 7-figure business. And doing 7 figures, it seems daunting, but as you keep going along, you realize like, man, as I add more people and I build processes, like there's a very systematic way to 7 figures. And that's why we've been able to do it so many different times. So, the second stage is manage, get to 7 figures. The third stage is multiply. And this is once you already have an established business. Now it's time to multiply the money that you're making. So you can reinvest back into the business. You can start buying rental properties. You can go start a new business venture. There's lots of different things you can do, but, moral of the story is that's the framework to become a multimillionaire very quickly. I think that for us at Wealthy World, I believe that you can accomplish all of this from 0 to 5 years and become a multimillionaire. That is like our curriculum. So how does that play into, for anyone listening? Well, I think no matter where you're at, there's always this new skill you need to learn, right? You might be at the very beginning stage of your career. Others maybe already have acquired that skill and it's amazing. And they're just trying to figure out this new skill of hiring people.
Right.
And then basically in the third level, you're now like learning the skill of investing. How do I invest this money I'm making to get the maximum return? How do I invest my time now to get the maximum return? So, I think that skills are some of the things that you just have to identify. What is the next new skill I need? How do I need to improve my skill? Because too many people are just complacent. Like they think, oh, well, freaking I make 70 grand a year. Like I'm doing good. Or, even if they make 100 grand or 200 grand or whatever. And they think that it's just going to always be like that. When in reality, it's not. Like if you don't keep learning new skills, you're getting phased out or replaced.
Big time. Of the three categories, I mean, we all know where you are, Ryan, but where did you enjoy yourself the most? Was it the grind of getting to 250? Second stage or third stage that you're in now?
That's a good question. When I was getting started, I look back at like every stage with kind of fondness of like, I was flipping these houses by myself. I was project manager. I was finding the deals. I was like doing it all. And that was cool. And I was happy. And then like I started hiring people and I grew the business and we had our first $1 million year. And I was like, wow, that was crazy. That was cool that we were able to do this. And then, you break past that and you do it again with a different business and you do it again. And then you get to multiple 7 figures and you get to 8 figures and you're like, this is cool. I don't know, every step of the way, I'm like, this is cool. So, but I will say, I enjoyed every step, but what I will say is the first step is the hardest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also just the idea that along the way? I mean, first of all, it's hard to imagine you flipping houses now by yourself on site, talking to sellers.
Yeah.
Like, I know I would love to see you on a sellers meeting today. You're like, this is not a good use of my time. I'm
You don't want to sell right now? Okay.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of here.
Yeah. But it seems like as you get more and more successful, you're just solving bigger problems. So your problems get bigger. That's why I asked, because I imagine it's kind of daunting to solve massive problems instead of, oh, the toilet's broken, let's fix that. That's a smaller problem. I think step one.
I think, like, at least for me, when I encounter Ryan's problems or like whatever business problems we have, I feel like they produce the same level of stress or anxiety, if there is any, than the small problems do. You know, I think, like, to me, at least the way I respond, it's like a small problem, big problem. They're both the same type of problem, and we just got to figure it out. It's the same process. But I don't know.
I was gonna say, I have a question. How difficult, and this is for all three of you, how difficult is it for you guys to relinquish control and allow people to help or do things that you used to do?
Yeah, so let me say this, okay? When you start to enter this managed stage, okay, you're now hiring people, trying to get to 7 figures. A lot of people think that, oh, well, this is the time to start being hands-off. And it's like, no, during the managed stage, you're not hands-off. You're still working the same amount. You're just doing different things. They're going to generate more revenue. So, like, when I was on the managed stage, I was like, hey, right now I go to do all the project management. This is a waste of my time. This doesn't make us any more money. Let me hire someone else to do this. I can pay $1,000 a property. And if I free up 40 hours a week that I would have spent managing properties, I will make way more than that finding a deal. And so I delegated that. And then I delegated the listing of the property. And then, I just focused all my time and energy on finding more deals. And guess what? When I did that, we just skyrocketed in the amount of deals we were getting, because now I was focusing my energy on, like, a better thing. So I think when you are trying to let go of something, there's 2 things you need to realize. One, like, are you letting go of something that's, like, non-essential, non-valuable? I mean, it doesn't mean it's non-valuable. Like, project management's not non-valuable, but, like, not a high-value task, right?
For you.
For anyone. It's just not a high-value task.
Right, for the person that's doing it.
No, like, in general, that task is worth, to be a project manager, it might be a $20 an hour job.
Well, that's my point, though. There's somebody out there that project managing is their best use of time, and that's who you hire to be a project manager.
Well, yeah, and it just goes back to, you have to learn new skills.
Right.
Because if you want to make more than $20 an hour, nobody's paying you that. You just have to get better at skill.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right? So I look at, like, what is the highest return skill I can do? And so it's like project management ain't it. I looked at my listings and I was like, I could just pay somebody $1,500 flat fee to do this. And when you really break it down, like, how much time you spend in the listings and the management, it's like, man, this listing might take me, 15 hours. And at $1,500, that means that my time's $100 an hour to do this. And so you're like, is my time worth $100 an hour? And, like, so for me at that point, the answer was no, because I had other tasks that could make me $1,000 an hour. Right? So it's like, let me just only do the $1,000 an hour task, because, like, your time is very easy to calculate what it's worth. You guys want to know what your time's worth? Take how much you made last year and divide it by how many hours you worked. So if you make $250,000 a year, okay, that comes out to, $20,000 a month, give or take. That's basically $5,000 a week. So 5,000 divided by 40 hours a week. Your time is worth $125 an hour if you make $250,000 and work 40-hour work weeks. Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people don't work 40-hour work weeks. They might work longer. So really, your time is maybe $80 an hour, which is, for a lot of people, it's great. But what you want to figure out is, like, what your time truly is worth. And then you can look at all the tasks you do every day, because your time is worth the cumulative of all the tasks you're doing. So there are some things that are $10 an hour task, like, errands. Mm-hmm. You're dropping crap off at some place. That's a $10 an hour task. Then there are tasks you do, like acquiring a deal. That's like a $20,000 an hour task, because it's so valuable. And so you're like, how do I do more of that and less of this? And that's how you increase what your hourly rate is.
Yeah, that's huge. And to Joey's question about relinquishing control, for you, it seemed pretty intuitive to start to relinquish control of the things that didn't maximize your value of your time. I feel like, from my perspective, Joey, relinquishing control is something that has caused procrastination in me. So instead of relinquishing control to someone else, I'll try to learn the skills to do the thing myself. And what I'm learning now is obviously contrary to that, but I feel like the biggest takeaway is that once you, like we talked about 2 weeks ago, when you know the cost of what you're trying to accomplish, you can then strategically attack it. Mm-hmm. And I spent a long time not really assessing the cost of what I wanted, and also not identifying a dollar value to my time, because I resent that idea. but you can only resent that idea for so long before it starts to become a problem. So that's where I'm at now, Joey.
And that's like resenting the idea that the sky is blue.
Yeah, right.
It's like, dude, your time is worth whatever you're willing to accept for it.
Yeah,
totally.
Right. I was actually just doing the math on my computer about my time. What would you guess?
Oh, geez.
An hour of my time is worth?
I didn't think I needed Dr. Evil Pinky for this one.
We'll call it just a random number, probably like, we'll call it $4,000 an hour.
I was going to say 5.
I was going to say 12.
12,000. I mean, hopefully after this year. I did the math. It's in between 4 and 5.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Hey, if you're looking to grow your real estate investing business, whether you're just getting started trying to get your first deal or you're trying to scale and get to the next level, you need to join us at Wealthy Investor. We've got events every single quarter that are absolutely crazy. We've got online coaching programs where we have Zoom calls, a community every single week. We give you everything you need to know to start your business, scripts, processes, SOPs, all of it. It's for you so that you can dominate. So if you want to learn more about how to join our community and be mentored by me and some of our top coaches and be around other students who are absolutely crushing it, go to wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a free call with my team. Once again, wealthyinvestor.com, apply for a call today. For instance, though, once I know that number, it's right, like people are like, oh, what can I do one-on-one? Well, this is like what my time is worth based on what I make, right? Mm-hmm. And, the other part of it too is once you start making more, you start to value your time differently. Even though that is what, like, how much you do work for, it doesn't mean you're willing to accept that to go do things, because you're like, well, I don't need it anymore. Like, I don't want to do it. I value my time more than what maybe the world values it at. And so that's okay too, as you start to grow.
That hour and that's also the hour that person is paying you for is an hour that you could be doing something else that could potentially
that
make
opportunity
more money.
Cost.
Yep. So exactly. So it's not just 4,000, right? You might look at somebody and say, listen, my time is worth 6,000 or 8,000 because I'm giving you the hour versus giving it to my own business or to myself.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And like, for me anyways, like my income's been going up year over year as we add more streams of income and the businesses grow and all that stuff. But, it's like, I know also that the time I spend, say, building a business or making a video, like it's going to make me $4,000 to $5,000 an hour today. But I'm also building for the future during those hours too. So I know those hours I'm putting in are worth even more than that.
Yeah. The concept of leverage.
Yeah.
Like levering your time as much as possible, right?
But this is also part of like, because I know the hours I'm spending are towards like long-term value, not just straight time for money. Mm-hmm. And this is something people have to realize is like, when you do just trade pure time for money and there's nothing beyond that, it's fine. I mean, that's like what people do for the most part, but like there's also the ability to trade time for money today and tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So it's like, man, if I, for example, consult this guy and he pays me money today, but I also get equity in his business that I'm consulting him on, that's now money tomorrow too. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Like evergreen content or something like that.
It's just, it's just, you can't judge the value of it completely today. Mm-hmm. It's like lifetime value of that hour,
right?
Is really what it is.
Exactly.
Versus if I go work at McDonald's and I get paid, $10 an hour, like once I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah, right.
There's no future value from those hours I worked.
That's a great point. Javi, what do you think about relinquishing control?
Tactical advice for you. I think early on in my like management career, I would give up control very easily, and I still do, but I didn't give clear direction. So I felt like after a little while, they weren't performing the task the way I wanted to. So then I would step in and try to regain control. So in order for you to be able to give up and relinquish control effectively, and in order for it to last, you need to be able to clearly give direction and guidance, whether that be through a playbook or through just recommendations and helping them grow, and then let them do their job effectively. It's a lot easier to relinquish control that way.
100%. And that's a lot to do with finding good people, surrounding yourself with good people. Makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, I think if you have good people, great people with decent processes, those great people will go a long way. Now, obviously, like the magic mix is when you have great people, great processes, and that's very rare.
Yeah.
I've like really tried to hone my skill on is becoming an expert recruiter. And like, I don't hire many of the people that we hire today because I've hired from the top down. Like those people I'm hiring at the top should be able to hire all the people underneath them. So I shouldn't have to hire every single person in the organization. But what I do hire for, and I say this with air quotes, is, you know, potential partners or new businesses or anything else. Like I am always on the lookout for the next talented person that I can team up with in some way. So for me, like I just realize for our company to grow, we need more talented people. You know, it is what it is. Like everybody right now is currently working and doing what they're doing, and that's what's needed for the company today. But, you know, for us to get to the next level, we need new products, we need new businesses. The current ones need to innovate and do even better. You know, we've got to improve at everything that we do. And, you know, there's two choices that can happen. One person is either going to be, you know, step up to be what needs to be for that next level, or we're going to have to find somebody else who will. And that's the reality of growth.
Yeah, it's that same quote, you know, put yourself out of business before someone else does. And that's what you got to do as an employee. That's what you got to do as a business owner, is just constantly look for new ways to innovate and improve upon your business before, again, somebody else is going to come in there and mess you up.
Yeah, they always say that the most successful business people are the most paranoid ones. They're like always thinking something's going to happen and like they're preparing. And I do think like that. Like
That's why we need Davila.
We do need Davila. Like Davila is funny story. So Davila, you know, for those who don't know, he's my partner in Wealthy World, and he is very paranoid. I would say he's very paranoid, and it's good because I'm not necessarily paranoid. I'm just like, we're just gonna dominate. It is what it is. And he's like, well, what about this? What about that? Right. Like this is happening. That didn't work. This didn't work, and it's good. You need that. But at the same time too, like you have to have like that balance of being paranoid enough to know your threats and your weaknesses and everything else, but also not letting paranoid, you know, mindset stress you out and make you not take action because you think everything's falling. And unfortunately, most people who are paranoid or stressed, they fall in that camp, like probably 90%. There's like a healthy, I guess, paranoia you can have.
Well, there is, man. If you think about like war strategy, like the best war generals of all time they had to be really paranoid. They have to come up with every single scenario. And in sales, like with what I do in tech, you have to come up with every single scenario that the client may bring across or that the vendor may bring across. And so there's a level of healthy paranoia. To your point, it's like the discipline and the confidence to take that and take action with it instead of like being paralyzed by the fear of it.
Yeah.
One thing I think about in the businesses too is that I think two things when it comes to paranoia. I'm like, number one, how am I going to get screwed? So like I think about that, and I'm like, how would I get screwed if I was going to screw me? Like I think like that, and I'm just like, okay, what is like this gaping hole that we have that it could just really destroy us? Like, so that's one thing. The other thing I think about is, you know, is there any singular bottleneck in the business?
Yes.
Like if that person died tomorrow, are we screwed? You know? So I don't want any of that. Like, I want to always be protected so that, even for me, like, that's why I always try to like make myself not that bottleneck. Now it's hard, but like, we're always trying to figure out, and you know, you may not get there today. Like, you might have this big bottleneck today, and like, that's fine. Especially when you're a small business. The thing is, when you're small, it's inevitable because there's only like 3 people.
Right.
So if one person,
make or break.
Yeah, if one person leaves, like you just lost a third of your workforce. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But once you get to 100 employees and one person leaves, it's 1%. It's not this massive deal. You just don't want that one person representing such a big part of what you do.
Yeah, there are whole consulting firms dedicated to just removing single points of redundancy in a business. So yeah, it's a huge concern for a lot of companies, and it's good that we're already thinking about that. But as an employee, you want to do your best to be as irreplaceable as possible. So it's tough. It's a double-edged sword. That the businesses always want to remove single points of redundancy, but employees need to strive to be as irreplaceable as possible. So it's a good mix.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that podcast. Thanks for making it to the end. The good news is I've got another one that I know you're going to like, and all you got to do is click it right here, linking it right here. All you got to do is just click it, and you're going to see this new episode that you're going to love.